everybody. So tonight we are going to do something special. We had mentioned on Sunday that we wanted to do a Discord AMA, and unfortunately, due to the power of migraines, we didn't get a chance to get to that, so we're going to be doing it tonight. There is a small possibility this could get split into 2 separate segments. I doubt that, though. I feel like we can probably get through these pretty quickly, but I really do appreciate everyone who asked questions. If you want, please feel free to get any other questions you have in there. There is no cutoff time, but when we're done, so anything else you have on your mind, do the thing. Thank you for letting us know that the angle is perfectly cromulent. Cromulent? The fuck?
Words I would need a dictionary for.
Yeah, right? Being all smart. So, let's get to it. So, our first question comes from Lily Baror. I think that's how they're pronounced. Lillebror. Are you fans of RPGs? And if that's the case, what class archetypes do you like to play? If not, what type of games do you like to play? So, basically, as far as RPGs, I don't know if you mean like tabletop RPGs or if you mean like you know, JRPGs, that kind of stuff. I'll say as far as like video game RPGs, I'll say that my favorite probably is Persona 5. I think that game has a lot of style, a lot of grace. I think it's really well done. If you're talking about tabletop RPGs, hands down, Vampire the Masquerade. Forever and always.
Yeah, I think for video games, for me, that would have to be Tales of the Abyss is probably my favorite, though I do like a lot of titles in that series. And then tabletop, I really like playing bards. I also really enjoy Witch Punks. That's a cool game. We've played some neat ones over the years, though, too.
We have. Just Vampire is always the one that I come back to and feel the most comfy with.
That's fair.
The 5th edition, which I think I've shared with a couple people on the server, is just good. It's really well made, it's really well thought out, and I just have nothing but good things to say about it. I just gotta find people that actually want to run it and run it the way I want.
That's fair. I'm a big fan of GURPS, as much as it may be outdated at this point. GURPS is still one of my favorites. It just kind of lets you go really freeform with world building and storytelling in a way that I really enjoy. Though I have been finding that 5th Ed does seem to pull on a lot of my favorite elements from GURPS.
5th Ed D&D is fucking great. I will say honorable mention for 5th Ed D&D, simply for the fact that it's such a easy system to get into. It's okay, Brittany. We have mods. We're okay. You be here when you can. We love you. You're a good daughter. I'm proud of you, and I believe in you. Ash, I agree. Makoto is, in fact, the best girl. There is no other. There is only her. She is our queen, and we stand. Let's see. To follow up with the last question, this comes from Hanging Wednesday. Is there an intersection between RPGs and self-exploration that could facilitate growth? So, I probably think you have some stuff on this, too. I very much believe yes. There's even therapists that have tried to integrate D&D and other types of gaming into therapy as a means, and I've even attempted it too. Before COVID, one of my ideas was actually I wanted to run a D&D group that was also going to be about people sort of exploring their characters' sort of intentions, something a little bit more serious, for the intentions of sort of like kind of seeing the difference between like how a character deals with something versus their player. How do you deal with a character who has an alignment that you don't fully agree with? You know, these kinds of things can be really good and therapeutic. And I just can't ignore my own history. I mean, right, Brittany? Like, let's be very clear. I haven't played a male character probably since like the late aughts. Like, I just don't. Basically, after I stopped LARPing, and I don't mean like politically LARPing, I mean like actual Vampire the Masquerade LARPing, I didn't really play male characters anymore. It was always tabletop. It was always a lot of female characters, a couple trans characters. And of course, I was still very much in the closet and completely dumbfounded, so duh. But yeah, I mean, in all honesty, the I think the benefit of RPGs, and I think the way that you're allowed to explore things, can be amazing, especially for people who are gender nonconforming or transgender. Yeah, I just don't have enough good things to say about it. What about you, Zena?
I've actually had a couple chances to use role playing in my workplaces. Um, Generally, it's not necessarily a therapeutic context, though. It's more in like this is a fun activity to do with youth, and a great way to kind of do kind of like community building, among the group. So I got to play when I was working at a youth shelter with a group of kids. That was really fun. And I think that was really great seeing them get to just like kick back and enjoy themselves in a way that they hadn't really gotten to try before. And there was definitely some kids that were like, actually, this is super my thing. I love this. Can we do this more? So that was really cool. And I also worked actually at a LARP camp. And that was actually really fun. And I think I definitely noticed that a lot of kids had a really good, like, kind of a container to explore stuff or figure stuff out. And if there was conflict or, some kid was misbehaving, if we could find a way to kind of use like an in-game, kind of way to kind of curve that or kind of re-explain something or kind of be like, well, here's kind of how this behavior, is, but, we see that you can kind of do better, right? So I think we did notice a lot of really cool growth from kids throughout the summer. That was probably one of the cooler things that I've done.
I actually have an example of recent that I think is really interesting. So one of the things that I struggled with when I was growing up, I was a kid with ADHD, and in the 80s and 90s, they didn't know shit to do with it. Hi, David. They didn't know shit to do with kids like me. They put us in the same class as kids with Down syndrome and things like that, which is fine. Those kids are lovely, but it doesn't get you treated well. And
it probably isn't the tailored attention that each of those, all those kids would need either.
Ms. Pasta Master, I agree with that. Presenting online just in forums and things like that can definitely be interesting too. But yeah, so like I'll give you an example of this. Is like for a long time I had a lot of sensitivity around my intelligence. I just don't at this point. I just see myself as bright. There are people I know who are far more intelligent than me and far more organized than me because they don't have ADHD. But I feel much more confident in my own intelligence and much more confident in my own sense of self. And as such, for the first time, I actually was up for playing a dumb character. One of the things that I'm really enjoying in our current D&D game with our friends is I'm playing a Verdan goblin by the name of Izzy. She is a warlock of a genie, and she believes all of her magic powers come from wishing from the genie lady. She has an intelligence of 6. She's a blithering idiot.
I love Izzy.
Who half the time talks like basically this. Like, basically, I've decided Goblin is essentially the Stitch language from Lilo and Stitch, just occasionally with the word Gobo thrown in. And I just play it that way. She's the nicest person in the world. She's chaotic good. She loves people, hates dragons because they enslave people. And she's a big honking goblin that can pack away food, and she's adorable, and she has like a charisma of 20. She's just a really stupid, sexy goblin. And I really love her. And her good friend is a Phoenix sorcerer named Basil, played by Zena, who is calm, reserved, and generally like withheld. While Izzy's like, "Hey, we're on a flying ship," and rather than look out of it and try to understand how the Starjammer ship works, Izzy is like, I'm going to go down to their galley and see the Drider lady who's serving food, and I'm going to get all of the food. In fact, I'm going to use Mage Hand to carry more food because I find that fun. If you want to know what she looks like, look up Haruna from that time I was reincarnated as a slime. She's a really cute goblin. At some point, I might actually talk to Lizzie about making me a full picture for her. I'd pay money for that. Probably a lot of money, actually. But anyway, so, but yeah, that's my take on it. I think role-playing can be incredibly powerful for personal growth. If there's a part of yourself you want to explore, like, I'll use D&D because everyone knows D&D, but like, if you're a person with anger management issues, play a barbarian. Yeah, Minerva. A whole extra plate. Exactly. I'm not opposed to fun, sexy goblins. Well, Verdant are funny because once they hit like level 3 or 5, I can't remember, they suddenly grow. So they go from 3 to 4 foot to like 5 foot. And so like they're just barely in medium size range. And they have all these weird powers like telepathy and black blood that lets them heal better. So it's this weird hodgepodge goblin that like is uncomfortably attractive and also a moron. And I love her. I love playing her. She's so much fun. I don't have to think. I don't have to pay attention. I can be as ADHD as I want. She is literally my favorite character.
Izzy is so much fun. I think gender stuff too. Like, I know Jess has played a lot of female characters over the years, primarily. The time that I've known her, it's been all female characters. But I've also had fun. When you can get a good DM on board, I really do like playing with gender roles and gender stuff in D&D. That makes me really happy because there's not that many opportunities in life where I get to
especially as a non-binary person, so if you're feeling mask at that moment, you can play a mask character.
Right. Oh gosh. I did have, when I was at the LARP camp, I had one character, Akio, and the other one, Avariel, and I played Avariel, who's the femme version of this character during the sci-fi camp, and then I played Akio during the fantasy portion of camp. And basically, I just switched. Also, I played myself. I'm not good at LARPing, guys. Like everyone, I'm really not. I played myself, and it was great.
And I will say this is like you also get to do some really interesting shit. Like one of the things we did is Zena doesn't get to play her all the time. I'll use her in this case because that's the character's current pronoun. But the character they're playing, Basil, right now is a Phoenix sorcerer, and one of their powers is thing called like I think it's like Soul Spark or Ember Spark. I can't remember which. But basically, what it is that if you get knocked down to like 0 hit points, you can just spark and like get back up to 1. Like you basically just resurrect instantly if you're near dead. And the thing we connect to that is Zena's character Basil is a changeling. And so the thing is they don't just shape change for shits and giggles. It's directly connected to their Phoenix nature. And just like fucking Doctor Who, every time they use that Ember Spark ability, they're a new person. So like if Zena's character Basil takes 1 for the team, Basil may become Basil. Right? Like there's ways in which, or I think your original goal was every time the character died and became someone new, you were going to choose another spice and name them after it.
Yeah, I was working my way through spices and herbs at least.
They're kind of plural people. It's more of a, just like the sort of Doctor Who thing where you immedially become a whole new person.
Oh yeah, it's really not plural. It's really not what we're touching on. We're just like an entire shifting of self, right? Who do you get resurrected as? So definitely Doctor Who is probably the better way to go with that.
Yeah, like I really liked the idea of like one of the things I like still watch on YouTube a lot is the Doctor Who regenerations. Especially because a lot of the modern doctors get some amazing speeches. One of the speeches that built this channel is actually the one of Capaldi turning into 13. And his whole statement of, be nice when you can, but always be kind. And I really liked that idea for a D&D character. As a Phoenix, the idea that this thing, like, has sort of co-opted your, no, that's really cool, Miss Pasta Master. I've really liked all the modern doctors. I'm going to be honest, to varying degrees. I don't really have a particular favorite. I think I like them all in different ways. Matt Smith was fantastic. His ending was good. We'll get into more shows and stuff later, but like, yeah, no, that's my take on gaming. I think gaming can be really good.
So we should probably read what people's questions are when they're showing up in Steam and in stream chat, because that way our people watching or just listening can follow what we're referring to.
So the question we're currently answering, which we did read beforehand, was
not these. I know read those guys, but stream chat. I actually cannot read it from here. So I honestly have no idea what you're referring to.
What do you mean?
I can't read that text on the screen.
Oh,
I can't read it right now. It's too tiny.
So, okay, I'll read those out loud then.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I mean, I can pull it up on my phone too, but also if anyone just wants to just listen to the video, it might be helpful so that way they know at least what you're like responding to instead of just randomly talking about things.
Yeah, if you want to bring them up on your phone, that's fine. So let's move on to the next question. But to answer your question, David, I don't really have a favorite. I think It depends on my mood. I feel like David Tennant was really, really great. I really love Matt Smith's entrance, and I love his energy, and I feel like Capaldi was really solid. My big issue with both Matt Smith and Capaldi is that I feel like their seasons could have been a lot better, because I think Stephen Moffat is fucking trash. If you don't understand why, go watch the Sherlock is Garbage and Here's Why by H-Bomber guy. It explains my issue. It's the thing is, Moffat doesn't suck. It's the problem is Moffat is really good at writing episodes that have to have a forced ending. If he actually,
if I remember right, yeah, it's like singular episodes. Some of like the singular.
Yeah. What is it? The Weeping Angels episode, the Silence in the Library episode. Yeah, all of those were really beautiful.
Was that there was that library episode?
That's what I was saying. Silence in the Library.
Was that the first season?
That was second season. That was second season with Tennant and
one of my favorite ones with the library. No, it was third season. Where they're I think they met River for the first time.
That's literally the episode I'm talking about.
I don't remember episode names. I don't remember that stuff.
Yeah, it's the ones with the Vashna Dorada, which are the weird bugs inside the books that consume people in seconds.
Okay, so do I get to say what my favorite doctors are now?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's totally where we ended up at.
Yeah, go ahead.
I really enjoyed Eccleston. Made me really happy. And I liked David Tennant when he was with Donna. I think that was probably my favorite, was when he was with Donna. And I think those are probably my favorites. Matt Smith was okay. He grew on me. Capaldi's okay. But yeah, they just didn't strike as much for me as the other two, so.
Yeah, Vera Rona, that's exactly right. I agree. All right, let's move on. And as a non sequitur question from Hanging Wednesday that has no relation to the last question, but why though? Because.
Oh, that was the follow up to why do RPGs facilitate growth?
Or how do they do that? Yeah. When and how did Toby Echo asked, when and how did you meet Zena? Do you want to share that story?
Oh God.
Convo.
Well, not that we can say names of specific conventions.
But you can say we were at a convention.
We were at a convention.
David, that's a really cool character.
No, it was a weird night. I was up till like 8 a.m. the night before, because it was my last day of working this shitty ass job, and I was just hanging out with my coworker for like the last time. Like my shift had ended, and I was just talking shit with her about stuff. It was a good thing that I jumped ship. Right, so then I go to this convention the next day because I wanted to go anyways. And sure enough, I'm dead tired, and at some point, like, I sit down at this table, and there's Jess there, and cool. And then we started talking, and I guess I don't remember all of what happened from there.
So you have to remember, you have to understand that the Jess you see before you was a very different creature then. So I was
super in Zen mode, and you were still in like.
I was bald, I was wearing a black suit, and I had sclera black contacts that covered my entire eye. I looked like a demon from Supernatural in a really nice suit.
I was like, that's a vampire. That's a vampire. And I think at that point, Jess was still doing like the, wasn't it like Mondo 101 in like 10 minutes with people when you met them?
Yeah.
You like still just did it like right out the gate.
Oh no, I did tons of shit. I was fucking with everybody there.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And I think it took like a good 6 months to figure out if we were in each other's dating pool. And then like it still took me showing up at a fucking Zen event to like get Jess to notice me. There's a point where I was like, yeah, she's not gonna actually like do anything if I don't show up.
I should probably tell the stories around why that was such a pain in the ass.
I mean, you don't have to. You can
I feel like it. Yeah, so part of the problem is that yeah, it was very lesbian of us.
Absolutely.
So fucking true. Should have just been the clue right there. So two things happened at the beginning of that year, 2017, that were real rough. The first one was my long-term relationship of a couple years was ending, and not in a great way. I won't go into super details, but there was a lot of miscommunication. There was a lot of really weird stuff, and I'm pretty sure both of us have similar diagnoses, so it was a lot of overreaction. At the same time, this was happening when I was interacting with Zena, which was causing more issues in that regard. And on top of it, that partner had moved out, which was causing all sorts of triggers because, again, fucking BPD. And then another thing happened. I won't go into specifics on this stream. I might talk about it on stream some point. Because I do want you guys to understand the kind of person I am and that I do make mistakes. And that is, the short version is that a friend of many, many years' wife was doing transcriptions for me for a podcast that I used to do. No, you can't find it. That account no longer exists. But the podcast was talking about things such as polyamory, integral theory, and etc. And out of that and reading the transcriptions, the person in question started getting interested in Zen, in polyamory, in integral theory. And the short answer of the stick is they end up getting a crush on me, wanting to do poly, and I end up falling for it for numerous reasons. And my life turns into a hellscape for the next 2 months, making a lot of dumbass decisions that I paid for a lot, including in my Zen order, where I'm pretty sure that one of my mentors was emotionally abusive towards me, because if I had been out as a trans woman at this point, I think people's reaction to this would have been very different. But because I was perceived as male, there was a lot of belief that I was acting in a predatory fashion towards this person, even though there was a lot of misinformation around it. Basically, the order got upset because they thought this person was a member of the order and I was acting in a weird power dynamic. The reality is that's not the case. They weren't in any way. And sadly, Junpo, my teacher, got misinformed. So yeah, it's a lot of mess and a lot of stuff, but that's one of the reasons why the same year I met Zena was also the year where I started having panic attacks. Like real, very deep panic attacks. I actually had never experienced anything like that until that year. And it was so overwhelming that it basically affected me for an entire weekend. We went to like that camping thing.
Yeah, no,
that summer was hell. Between the stuff that happened with the one girl and her husband, the stuff that happened with me getting kicked out of my first internship because I wanted to report on a potential child abuse thing, right? And was shut down and said I couldn't. The person that was running the internship basically they basically fired me for having like monster cans in my desk because they actually didn't have anything else to fire me on.
And that's just Jess's stuff that was going on that summer.
You were dealing with a whole bunch of friends peeling off, a lot of people acting really fucking strange.
No, well, yeah, I mean, my stuff's even messier, right? Like, than just arguably, what Jess said. Yeah. I mean, not messier than yours, but just messier than what you just said just now. Because a lot of the toxic kind of relationships are things that I had kind of entered into to kind of keep myself like afloat financially and, have a place to live, were in fact really toxic. And this one was picking up on it, in part because...
Sorry.
Well, when you go, I'm not going to be living with my housemate anymore. Like, that's going to be a thing. Like, I'm going to not be in this situation anymore, and suddenly your housemate's acting really possessive towards you. Well, shit goes wonky. And, this person noticed all of that and was probably one of the first people to actually, like, engage with that stuff for real. Like, actually, like, acknowledge that it was a thing happening. So there's a lot there, but I'm glad we actually like got through it and actually tackled that stuff, because God, did I need like a better situation.
Well, and even more so, one of the things is that it's something that built a really strong relationship for us. We were probably insufferable to the people that were helping us at the time because there was a lot of intensity and a lot of us having to peel back a lot of layers and stuff. But yeah. I can truthfully say that the relationship I have with Zena is one of the healthiest relationships I've been in. And it's one of those relationships that actually meets that level of security within that doesn't feel like it's going to jump out the window at any moment, which is really hard to do with someone who has BPD. So yeah. It was a lot of shit that happened. It was also something that like...
We had to get real savvy at like conflict resolution real fucking fast.
Thanks, everybody.
Oh, I love all of you.
Yeah, I'll go into more about those stories later if people are interested, but I do feel like there's a lot of stuff there that I have to watch as far as details, but the short version is my 2017 was me finishing a graduate degree, me working for as a case manager for SMI people, full day, 40 hours a week. And yeah, I'll take questions from the audience, Brittany. That's fine. And then all the other shit we just mentioned. My 2017 was hell. Oh, and then I got called out for being transphobic for accidentally backing a TERF because I was training clinician that thought that, like, having worked with lots of assault victims, that I understood the situation when I read an article saying that they were afraid of trans women being in the bathroom because of penises and triggers. And it turned out I got bamboozled and got sucked into basically someone using their trauma and weaponizing it. Got called out by a bunch of queer people, ended up me doing a large inquiry and being, oh, wait, I'm trans. Oops. So
that definitely
happened.
Definitely happened.
Thank God for ContraPoints. Seriously, I know not everyone's a fan, but Jesus Christ, like if her videos hadn't have been there, I would have been fucked.
Well, it was hard to piece through because, like, at least it wasn't on my face. I mean, it was on Jess's Facebook at the time, but I really don't remember any people being that clear or providing like that much in the way of like resources. It was just kind of like a blanket calling out, if I remember right. So I remember there being a lot of confusion on our part because I also, like, despite doing a lot of like activism and stuff, wasn't familiar with TERFs either. Like that wasn't a thing that I had run into yet because my town is tiny and we basically
and also they only became a big issue then.
That is true. Yeah, I don't think they were as big of an issue prior to that. So should probably go to the next question.
What is your favorite
Hanging Wednesday?
Yep. What is your favorite and least favorite thing about streaming? You want to go?
My favorite things are probably interacting with new people. That's really fun. My least favorite thing is the thing that I don't do, which is video editing. I may learn at some point. I feel no wish to do video editing. It just doesn't appeal to me as far as like a class of tech/art that I could do. That I think it's been a lot of a challenge trying to like shift life stuff around to make time. I think, we're definitely still kind of getting used to that.
So Brittany, I'll answer the question in a second. Brittany, you asked, one of my partners almost definitely has BPD. He's really good at communicating it, but it does affect him sometimes. Is there any advice you could give me to make stuff easier for him? So Brittany, my response to that would be yes. There's a couple things you can do. Don't take shit. If he starts getting toxic or overly like controlling, then you need to call it out. But the other thing is that if you notice that he's acting in a way where his thoughts are very black and white, that is, he is thinking in very binary terms, you're either the angel of his life or you're the devil, then I really think you need to call that out and point it out, and he needs to get good at noticing that. Because when he's doing that, what he's doing is a thing called splitting. And the thing about splitting is it's really just a distorted thought. It's just polarized thinking to an extreme. And if you can notice that, then he can start taking a more nuanced take. And as I said before, it's hard to be outraged when you have a nuanced take. So, yeah, that would be my answer to that question. I can talk to you more about it offline.
The other big thing that I would also suggest is...
Well, you know about this.
I mean, I do, right? Is make sure that one, you've got a therapist who's absolutely on board. And like understands what's going on. I think that's a big one because if your therapist has like misconceptions about what borderline is, it's gonna be a real fucking problem. And just
true.
It is easy to make assessments that aren't really there, right? You got to get real savvy at that. What is somebody's mental illness versus when is the situation getting kind of toxic? But the thing that I would say for somebody in a relationship is find a way to not take that stuff personally and not take triggers and stuff into yourself. And this goes for anybody living with somebody who's got panic attacks going on, right? If your partner is having panic attacks, flashbacks, whatever else, those reactions are not your fault. They're not because of you. Yes, there could possibly be, stuff in the relationship that you got to work out, but that massive reaction, that's not like your fault or something that you have to take on to you.
Yeah, and it's not something they're necessarily doing intentionally unless there's other trauma or there's something there going on. Like, I would say that if he does go into that sort of straight guy controlling thing, Brittany, the thing I would say about it is just try to get to the root of what the fear is. Because what you're seeing is not rage. You're not seeing anger. You're seeing fear. Remember, everything in BPD always comes back to abandonment. Right? So, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's a big thing.
As far as the least and favorite parts about streaming, fuck. I really like streaming. I don't really have a terribly like small. I don't have like a terribly like big thing of stuff that I dislike. I think the thing I like best about it is talking to you guys and meeting people and getting to share some of the things I know. I also like that I can be open with you guys. I think that really means a lot to me. As far as the least favorite thing, comments. I'll be honest. I don't look at them anymore, so it's not a huge deal. But sometimes comments are just fucking dumb. And some of them are just transphobic, mean, hateful. I don't really see those ones anymore. Thank you, Thanagor. But we had to ask a cis white guy to take care of it because he's pretty a nerd to it. He can handle it. Having me or Zena do it was a bad idea. But I think that's my big thing. Is just sometimes comments are a struggle. Yeah, I know. Jess and Zena, very serious discussion. Us fucking chocolate. On point, people. I need to make a focus thing. Fucking focus.
God damn.
Go and read the next one.
From Angry Literati, we've got, what's the most interesting fact, concept, thing about psychology? Like, what absolutely blew your mind when you learned about it?
Is there anything for you there that was interesting? Because you learned a lot in like 3 years.
I don't know if there is any one thing, because I think when I met Jess and like there was just this like huge need for like one being challenged and like two learning more, and I really like psychology and actually having to do personal work was a thing. Not that I wasn't doing it before, but doing it with somebody, like actually being in a relationship with somebody who's savvy is pretty nice. I don't know if there was one thing that like blows my mind. I think PMDD is fucking wild. I mean, that's... Yeah, I don't know if there's one thing that just kind of blew my mind, I guess. A lot of it just kind of made sense, I guess, or just kind of clicked in my head. As we learn about it, it just kind of goes click, and I'm like, oh, this is a thing. So...
Yeah, I think for me, it comes down to like sort of a binary. That is, I think the things that were most interesting to me is both of the really amazing things we've learned, such as, for example, the neuroplasticity of the brain. That is, the brain modifies and changes over time based on its use. That's super fucking cool. Literally, that's the way human beings are able to change and grow as humans. It's fucking nice. The effects of mindfulness are clearly well researched, and I think that shit's really fascinating. I love that stuff. And then there's also the atrocities. This is the other half of that binary, where there are things that in the name of science, psychology has done. The original version of the Milgram experiment, well, yes, it did prove that people will follow authorities up into included doing atrocities. The fact is, the original version would not even fly today. It doesn't work. They've done a more modern version. Still very, very true as far as a study. 70% of people will still do awful things just because someone's wearing a fucking doctor's coat.
Yeah, no, there are probably a few of the atrocities that kind of stick out in my mind too.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think part of the thing is for me is like, you know, for example, Ray Blanchard and the creation of the term autogynephilia, or even just the awareness that like there are still people that believe this. See, I don't count Zimbardo only because that's not an experiment. As much as he liked to pretend it didn't have a control. There was no real oversight, and he was part of it. What that was basically abuse. I refuse to call Zimbardo anything because we can't really use any of the data from that. Yeah, it's kind of like Plato. Basically, neurons strengthen and create more of them based on usage. So if you work on something, you wire your brain differently. It's kind of cool. I also just think it's cool that psychology has validated both gay, lesbian, bi, and trans identities. Let's be very clear. Like, we know very clearly that science is on our side on this stuff. It just fucking is. So, but yeah, so let's move. What's that? Milgram was one of the people told to shock someone else in the room. Correct. So Angry Literati is correct there. So basically,
we got to make it through some of these questions. I know chat wants to go off the rails, but we gotta make it through some of these questions.
That is correct, Tiamat. The most accurate form of correct, which is the best form of correct. Well done. So next one.
Yeah, word. What's the weirdest fact about anything in the world that you know? It can literally be about anything.
Got anything?
My brain literally doesn't hold on to like tiny facts like that at all. Like there are books that I love. I remember the gist of it. I'm not going to remember tiny quotes as much as it pains me that that's a thing. I know Jess knows lots of animal facts at this point. Oh.
Dude, Hood Nature's such a good channel. I love him. I got a couple. Most of the times, anytime someone saw a sea monster in history, it was most likely a whale's penis. Trigger warning for sexual assault. River otters, even as cute as they are little rapists, and they are terrible. They will actively attack baby caimans. They will try to drag them down. They are monsters. Yes, and in fact, it's usually a power thing. It's not a love thing. Hi, any regrets? They're very top energy gays. Elephants will sometimes assault rhinos, and this just happens. One of the most deadly animals on the planet is hippos. They are literally a tank. Yep. Nature's fucking awful. Let's be clear. Hi, Minerva. So that's all I got right now. I guess I would also say is like other facts I know, like I don't know. I'm trying to think of anything. Nothing's really coming to mind right now. If I think of something later, I'll let you know.
Here's a fun one from Gail. Do you have a favorite SCP, and if so, which is it and why?
Oh, it's so fucking hard for me. You've listened to a bunch with me. Is there anything that stands out to you that you really liked?
Whatever that last one is you were listening to, like yesterday morning.
the
really
3-part,
good.
the 3-part story, Apotheosis.
Yeah,
Apotheosis. That one's super cool because basically a weird fungi tree gives people's mutant powers and starts ascending them to the next level. It's fucking amazing.
That was just a good like sci-fi story that was like totally in my wheelhouse.
No, it's fucking good. Yeah, like the stream, support the stream. Donations, streamlabs.com/transgirltherapist/tip, patreon.com/transgirltherapist. Anyway, moving on. So, as far as the SCP, God, that's so hard.
Okay. What comes to mind first? Or what's in your mind right now?
There's two. There's two that came up simultaneously. I'm going to do those.
Okay.
My favorites include and are... I don't know if which one I like better right now, but I'll be honest, I like to keep it simple. I really like SCP-682. I think the hard-to-kill reptile is fucking interesting. I think it's really fun. I do miss the original picture that was on the wiki. The original wiki had a picture of what was a whale skeleton, and it looked fucked up, and basically all art since then has basically just been that picture changed into a giant monster lizard. There's some wonderful stuff inside the log of them trying to kill this thing, and they try some crazy shit to do it. They use this red crystal that spreads through a person's body. They use machine after machine. They use, like, fucking trying to aerial drop it, or at least talking about it. They tried sending every scary SCP you can think of, 096, 173. They tried fucking everything, and all these stories are just super interesting. My favorite part of that log, though, is the scene where SCP-682 gets put in with SCP-053. 053 is a little girl that if anyone gets near her, they will immediately go into a rage and try to attack her. I can't remember if she heals or not, but I know something in her power is if anyone does attack her, literally they die. Whatever damage inflicted on her happens to them. And so basically when they put her in there with 682, because they're fucking monsters, right? 682 didn't attack her. He just sort of laid down and she took crayons and colored on his carapace. Literally what happened. They colored on his carapace. They sat together very chill. She really liked him. And what ended up happening was they tried to take them apart, and By doing so, immediately 682 went into a rage state and lost its shit and attacked everyone. And for some reason, no one will put them back together, even though it's the most logical conclusion. It's super weird. The other one that comes to mind is SCP-914. That is the machine that changes things based on its settings. So there's one, like the 4 or 5 settings are like rough, broken down, or whatever that one is, 1-to-1, fine, and very fine. And what they found out is depending on which setting it's on and what you put in the input chamber, the output chamber comes out with some crazy shit. Oh, rough course. Course is the one I was thinking about. Thank you, Tiamat. And so, like, putting 5 years old, Christian. So if you put, like, a human in there on fine or very fine, you get some crazy shit.
The 5-year-old comment was for how old our pupper named Bunny is, by the way, not for the SCP.
Yeah.
Thought I should clarify that.
But yeah, 914 is super interesting. I really like it. The log for it is long as shit, but it is really just these doctors getting more and more frustrated. There's also a doctor who reoccurringly gets, like, essentially, like, beat up because the machine just doesn't like him. And it's pretty clear that that 914 is in some way sapient or sentient. So, but those are my favorites. Althea says, how do you find a therapist when the very thought of looking for someone in the face to talk to them about things is too hard? It feels like an actively terrible idea that will make everything worse, even though I've got a lot going on. I've been running into some triggers lately and reached a point where I really feel like I need to talk about everything. Online feels more doable, but I'm worried about scams. So I think finding a place that is reputable with properly licensed therapists that do online. If you don't want to look someone in the face, you can do it over the phone. You can still do teletherapy. It's still COVID. I think working with someone's a really good idea. I also think challenging yourself about pushing through that fear is a really good idea. Finding a therapist, we have a video on this, so I'll probably put it somewhere around here. But the thing I will say is that it takes time. You need to find someone who's a good fit for you. So, yeah, that would be what I would suggest. As far as, like, the idea of looking them in the face, what I might... Yeah, no, exactly. Tiamat is exactly correct. Find someone who's part of a center, someone who, or is part of, like, a collective of different therapists. You know, if you go to a session in office, ask to see their license. It's usually supposed to be hanging up on the wall. Like, yeah, just do your homework. You want to read the next one?
Oh, I was just gonna say on the last one too.
Oh, go ahead.
Online, you got video, you got telehealth. I know there are some services that apparently can do text. I don't know if you've run into that. People trying to do text only. My thought is generally, like, this is a person that you're hiring to work for you. That's kind of the other part of it. I find it really valuable when my therapist can listen for tone shifts, right? Body language, all of those kind of nonverbal indicators can go a long way to really kind of helping us piece through something or realize when something's going on. And I think those things are really valuable. So
Ash asked and expanded to that question. To expand on that, what do you think about the site BetterHelp? I know very little about them, but I have heard things.
I only know that it's a name advertised to me. That's all I know about it.
I've heard that some people have had issues with it. I think there are better organizations to get in touch with, if I'm perfectly honest. But I don't know enough, so I can't say for sure. Let's go over the next one.
We got Thakir,
I think it's more in the Norse direction.
Got it. All right, Thakir. What are your favorite books, fiction and nonfiction, that you would recommend? I thought about this question already.
Go ahead.
So nonfiction, a book that really kind of meant a lot to me was The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. Definitely really enjoyed that. I've read that one twice at this point. Fiction, I have a lot of books, but Patrick Ness is probably one of my favorite authors. He does a lot of sci-fi. I gotta tell you, the first book that I read by him was The Knife of Never Letting Go. What kind of a title is that? It's amazing. And then I just mentioned on stream the other day, The Rest of Us Just Live Here. That's a fantastic book, especially if you want, like, a breakdown of YA and like actual real people doing therapy and like a decent amount of representation about different things. I really value the way that he writes characters, because when LGBT stuff is in there, it's just a regular part of the person, right? It's just a regular part of the story, and it's not like the book will keep existing whether or not that was a thing, right? So it just feels kind of homey, like this is just a person you're with, right, when you're reading. And his sci-fi is great. The rest of Us Just Live Here is fantastic. It's super fun. I own it. It's great.
Okay.
So yeah.
For me, this is a hard one. As much as I want to, so as much as I want to give, my honorable mention for nonfiction would be my Zen Master's book, The Heart of Zen. I think that book is fantastic. It's written as a dialogue between him and another priest. And it's very accessible, very interesting, and I think it's a really good way to get into Zen that doesn't feel overly esoteric or hard to get into. I've tried to get this one to read it for 3 years. But the one that kind of takes the cake for me is The Gift of Therapy by Irving Yalom. Irving Yalom is the father of existential therapy, or at least one of them. And that book, if you want to know what it's like to be a therapist, what it's like to go through therapy, there is some amazing stuff in that book. If you're looking for fiction, I am not as great of a source. I don't enjoy fiction books all that much.
World War Z?
That is about it. World War Z is the one I like the best. World War Z is... I know Max Brooks can be a cock, but God, that book is well written. It is well researched. Hell, there are sections in that book that go blow for blow similar to what's happened with COVID, including the fucking like government dropping the ball. Like, his use of CDC data and the way he put that book together is fantastic.
Yeah.
David, I also have a video as well. As far as like looking for a therapist.
If you've got further AMA questions, please put them in our stream. AMA questions. We want to make sure that we can kind of like make our way through this list and don't get too sidetracked.
Yeah, I'll answer this one in Christian, but yeah, make sure that if you guys are doing clarification stuff, that's fine, but let's keep them in the AMA. Christian Vargas asked, do you speak any other languages? No, and I would love to learn another language. I just don't have time.
I skipped on learning languages in high school. It would be neat at this point, but I really don't have a huge drive to do that. I'm already trying to learn scripting languages for like programming, so that takes up a lot of time. So we are Gabriel's question.
Gabriel's question.
Who is your favorite music artist at the moment?
Yeah, who is your favorite music artist? Do you have an answer for this one?
A lot of the songs that I keep coming back to are from Faint. I've been enjoying a lot of their music. I'm not the best at music though. I really just songs that are like 5 years old appear on my Pandora. Yes, I still have one of those. I've never updated because it hit a sweet spot of I like these things and then I just leave it alone, and I generally don't approve new songs unless something's really good. I actually like get off of I actually just stop listening to Pandora for a while when it tries to like make my station different. I get really cranky about that. So yeah, that's who about is in there. But otherwise, I really like a lot of soundtrack music. A lot of game soundtrack music. It's definitely my playlist. So
I have zero answer for this. I don't even know people. I don't listen to the radio. If I'm in a car that doesn't have access to my Bluetooth, I listen to NPR. I am so boring when it comes to music. Like, I am actively boring when it comes to music.
It's actually one of the hardest parts because Jess will be listening to like a podcast or like spoken words, and my brain will be like, I'm going to explode. I need like music to zone out. And then I'll end up zoning out the words that Jess is playing. Because my brain works very differently on this.
Yeah, I am music stupid. Let me be very clear. Like, I don't even know who's big right now. I know names if I can try to like fudge them. I could probably guess by Twitter. But yeah, like, I can tell you songs that really touch me that always come back into my life. Yes, I am Lady Vosh. You're literally Lady Vosh.
Who's Lady Vosh?
Brittany is saying that because Vosh also sucks at music.
Oh, but Vosh is like me though, because Vosh is also like soundtrack music. Like, no, it's good stuff. What is it? 2 Steps from Hell? Like, God, there's some amazing pieces in some of the games that I play. Like, I absolutely buy the soundtracks of the games that I love. The Fly-In soundtrack is really wonderful. Bastion and Transistor both have beautiful soundtracks. Sorry, did I?
Yeah, you just started going off again.
Sorry, I got really distracted.
God damn it. Yeah, so I'll say this. I like certain soundtracks and certain songs, bands, groups, or performers. I don't know shit. Things I listen to a lot. I really love the openings right now of I'm a Spider, So What?
Yeah.
The openings to that, both of those are fucking, like, those are bops. They're just pure bops. I love the song Addicted from Has Been a Hotel. I think that song made me break down and cry. Let's see. The song, what is it? Say Something by Pentatonic, I think it is. We had to listen to that for a fucking training for emotional focus therapy, and that shit busted me open because that song's basically BPD the song. Yeah, Addict is what it is. Addict. Yeah, again, I'm really bad with this, guys. Like, this is I'm more dumb on this than Vosh is. Like, I like one Lupe Fiasco song. I really like that song. I know like 2 Eminem songs, maybe no, 3 Eminem songs. I am just not a music person, and I hate it, but it's just the way I am. I like Linkin Park too. I just forget they exist. I also do like Marilyn Manson, but that's like the 16-year-old goth kid in me.
Right.
Despite his current crimes and nonsense. I still think Antichrist Superstar is an amazing concept album, but yeah,
Zena,
do you listen to classical?
Do I listen to classical? Not as much anymore, but yes, I do. I do like piano a lot. I took a lot of music humanities in high school, so I actually were really, at this point, I can't recall as much of it directly, but I was exposed to a lot of classical, and there's a lot of different stuff that I like.
I do actually have another song.
What's the word? I know a lot of opera. What's the opera that I'm thinking of? Carmen. The overture for Carmen is really good. I really like that one. Not that I care that hard about like actual like watching a full length opera. I don't. I'll just take the overture.
Another one another band I've liked some of their stuff from, including the song "Never Wanted to Dance," by Mindless Self-Indulgence.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's
I really like Mindless Self-Indulgence. I don't know the song. What is it?
I think our timelines are actually matching up now.
Yeah. No, Mindless Self-Indulgence. There's a song from their self-titled album that is, the music video is like a dude working at like a big box store, and like he's shooting people with like a laser scanner. And that music video was directed by the same guy that made Invader Zim, and it's so fucking good.
The Proto Men are amazing. By the way, they're the only band that I go out of my way to see in person. God, they've got such great, like, being in that crowd and dancing, like, that's a brilliant fucking experience. Holy crap, I've gone twice with a couple of friends. I would 10 out of 10 do it again. I would absolutely risk that migraine. I didn't have migraines when I was going to these concerts before. I didn't have as many migraines. But the Proto Men are brilliant. I would risk that migraine all over again to go to one of their concerts.
Shut Me Up. That's correct.
So.
Oh God, Bees. Got it in one. Shut Me Up. That song is so fucking good.
I also like swing. I really like swing dancing music.
You've made me like swing. I've gotten better about it. I
should probably go on to our next question.
Yeah. I'll get lost on this. Electro swing is great.
Electro swing is super fun. Yeah, electro swing is just
Zena made me listen to it.
I have a lot of electro swing on my playlist.
I listen to the Lo-Fi Beats channel sometimes when I'm doing notes. That's really fun. I have a really hard time with music when I'm trying to do notes because like I want to sing along, so usually I'll just do things without lyrics or very few lyrics. Let's move on.
So we've got from Brittany. What?
No, Weaver.
Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. Weaver, have you ever had to deal with imposter syndrome, or I'm just faking it feelings about transitioning, or anything else for that matter?
Every day of my fucking life. Full stop. Yeah, no, I, as a person who had a lot of issues around being intelligent and being afraid that I was a fucking idiot, the fact that I get the attention that I do in both this community as well as the mental health community, the people that I've made connections with, I really struggle with imposter syndrome a lot, actually. There's a big fear in a lot of cases where I feel like I am essentially a fraud, and it really sucks. There's this thing in which in my own mind, and I've got it mostly under control for the most part, but like there really is a part of me that's like, I'm really just bamboozling these people. Like that's what it comes up to. Like I'm just bamboozling people. Like, and that's not what the reports are from either my community or from like the clients I work with. But yeah, that's a bye, Miss Pasta Maker. Love, Master, love you. But that's me. What about you with imposter syndrome? How do you struggle?
For the most part, no. That's actually something that really doesn't come up. I've kind of, yeah, like as far as gender stuff, like this is something I didn't have tons of terms for, but I certainly had the gender stuff like figured out. Like I knew that masculine was like a good 3/4 of my gender. Like I've known that since I was like a teen-ish. Imposter syndrome isn't that big of a thing. I got really dysphoric when I was trying to look for tech work, and also PMDD was going on really, really hardcore, and that's a weird one just because of like I have no ability to figure out what's actually going on. And that was a really rough space to be in. Yeah. Just because PMDD just distorts so much stuff at that point, and I was trying to do an interview like in PMDD mode, and it was rough. But otherwise, yeah, that's not usually how that comes up for. Yeah, imposterism doesn't really come up for me though. So
yeah, just to kind of give further thought on mine before we move on, it's just for me, it's that one of the things that really sucks is that being a kid with ADHD, as I said in the 80s or 90s, really makes you question your intelligence because you're treated like shit by people. And so for me, one of the things that I really struggle with is that when I am successful, there is a fear that I am somehow like getting one over on people. I mean, if I'm really honest, and I think this is true with everybody, but a lot of the stuff that I know, I learned through certain other people and sort of cribbing their notes or cribbing their stuff. Like I haven't really, beyond this channel, I really haven't created a whole lot on my own. I'm just really good at sort of gestalting together data points and information from a lot of different really intelligent people. And maybe that is an intelligence, maybe that is a skill. But yeah, that's something I really struggle with.
No, that makes sense. I think this was a weird one for you just because, like, there's a lot of cases even through my schooling that, like, no, I kind of figured out that I knew how to learn. I also knew how to teach, and so
well, and it's so weird because it's odd to have fucking imposter syndrome when, like, in school I just didn't. Like, in school I just thought I was better than everyone, and then got told by the leader of the program that was objectively true.
Yeah, no, it was very apparent in a lot of my college classes that I knew what the fuck I was doing just because I could actually like learn the material. Like
literally one of the major heads of that fucking. So there was me and my friend Ashley. This is before I came out, and the doctor who ran the counseling program literally told us that we were the opposite gender of the other person, and how much we care about being counselors and how much we actually like really care about this profession. It's such a weird thing to be seen as, no, literally you came in here thinking you were a know-it-all and you actually knew the stuff and you're really good in sessions. Yeah, it's a lot. So next question from Brittany. What is your skincare routine? That's why I had to leave the room.
So Jess has a very different one than I do.
True. Okay, so in the shower, at least once or twice a day, I tend to use this stuff. It's by Acne Free. It has no like fragrances or shit in it. It's just really good to get your skin clean.
Again, we're not sponsored.
We're not sponsored by these people, but if they want to,
we also have had to find a lot of products without fragrances, and we all could have used the Acne lineup from them in our house.
I really like Witch Hazel. It works really well. This is what I get as Quinn's. It's scented no scent because of migraines, but this stuff works really well. I think it's really good at cleaning skin. I really like it. It's also a really good way to help take off makeup, because eye makeup remover is really simple, but like sometimes foundation and shit is hard. So that's kind of the basics. Mornings are usually this. So I have these three. So there's a company called Tree of Life that I found on Amazon. I really like them. I got some emails from them. They were super cool. They look like that. And they have three things. They have a...
I should go grab one of mine.
Oh, I didn't grab the other one.
Which one?
So
do you want
I grabbed no, it's fine. Right, so there's three of these. One of them is hyaluronic, I can't pronounce that. Hyaluronic acid. And that stuff's really good for moisturizing. There's the one that's like retinol serum, which is also really good. That's kind of dry skin and makes it better. And then there's one that I didn't grab. I grabbed accidentally two of the same one. And that is the vitamin C serum. And usually you do it in the order of vitamin C, hyaluronic acid, and then the fucking... Yeah, that word. Thank you.
Do be careful not to overdo some of these. That can burn your face.
Follow their directions. These are like little dabs. Little dabbies. And the retinol serum last. Once those have dried, once those are on your face and they're all good, then usually what I do is finish up with this. I got yelled at by a dear queer friend on Twitter saying that, bitch, you need to do SPF 30 or stop it. So this is CeraVe. This stuff's fucking great. It's a broad spectrum SPF 30 face moisturizer.
It is also fragrance free.
It's super fucking good. And then last but not least is at nights, once I take everything off, I can't find it right now, but just the green and white bottle Cetaphil lotion. That stuff's fantastic.
Cetaphil's really... Oh, you got that over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those...
That's Jess's.
So that's mine.
So my routine generally depends on what's going on with eczema and what time of year it is. So sometimes it will include a few different like prescription things depending. Definitely like for summer or just like a light stuff. The Cetaphil is fantastic. They've got their blue bottle, which is like a really great for like hand soap, face soap. All of it's really great. I use the CeraVe as well for sunny days because I need to protect from skin cancer. And then acne stuff when that comes up, which is usually about like a week or so before my period, and then it goes away again. Mm-hmm. Hormones might shift that at some point. The best thing that I've got, especially for the winter for acne, is this big container. It's like $18. You can sometimes find it for cheaper. It's the Aveeno Eczema Therapy itch relief balm. It is super effective. It works really, really well. Yes, it's kind of thick and gooey, but you need way less of this than you would of anything else.
Patricia, I gotta keep this good. I came out at like 39, and the fact is like if I don't, like I would like to have this at least functional and hot for like at least another 15 years. That's the goal.
So this I would definitely suggest if you are sensitive to like gooey stuffs or sensitive to textures, because you will have to use this far, far less than you would any other product, and you can do way much better for yourself with this. So this is probably the best stuff.
All right, next question. Patricia, what are your thoughts about games that have a high focus on things around mental health, such as Hellblade, or in a weirder way, DDLC? I think they can be really good. I think it depends on them. Hellblade I thought was done pretty well, but I didn't get a chance to play it. I only watched it. And I think Doki Doki Literature Club is pretty fucking brilliant.
Oh, I was going to ask what DDLC was.
Doki Doki Literature Club.
Got it.
I'm actually excited for the new one they're putting out. I'm not sure if it's just going to be a redo of some things, but I do think it's a really well done. I think mental health can be really interesting, and I think it can be something that can be really wonderful in a lot of different things. I think we don't talk about it enough. And Bunny's interrupting me. Hi, Bun.
I'm sorry, she was cute and it was making the camera fuzz.
Hypnotic Genes adds to that. What do you think of Silent Hill Shattered Memories? I haven't played Shattered Memories. The last Silent Hill game I played was literally 2. I just haven't had an interest since then. 2 was kind of the fucking done for me. Yeah. So
I don't think I've got much for this because I don't.
It's fine.
Nothing that's coming to mind is like a huge mental health pen. I'm sure there's something that I've played that's that way.
Okay.
But I haven't played either of those games. I really have only interacted with them with Doki Doki Literature Club through chess.
And mostly the music video.
And mostly the music video. Yes.
That is another song I fucking love. Just Monica is so fucking good.
Oh, and what else? What other songs? Just Monica, the Crab song. Like there are random things on YouTube that Jess will just start playing, and I will hear it for like 3 weeks straight, and it's great. That's how music works.
Althea asks, how do you distinguish between friends you make in your Discord and parasocial relationships developed with fans? Can the latter become the former, or does meeting someone through the Discord automatically mean it's parasocial and you can't be friends? I honestly have no clue.
I don't know yet either. Our channel's still really small. We're saying this with our Discord is not that large yet. I
mean, there's a number of people in the Discord that I haven't had a chance to meet or talk to, but a lot of the regulars I really just really like. Yeah. And
and we did want a community, right? Like that is one of the things that we wanted. We lacked community for the longest time. A lot of places don't meet our standards. They can't handle conflict. They can't like organize in any effective way or have any top way of like handling predators in the community. I've dealt with several of those. They're not great. And we wanted a community. Like that's one of the things we did want. So I feel like this is one that we just got to be careful with, make sure that there's clear
So I'll be really
stuff
honest
with it.
There's a part of me that always doesn't quite understand these kinds of separations. I feel like, so I gotta figure out how to word this right, because otherwise, if it's taken wrong or I'm taken out of context, it could look really dumb. Something about BPD makes certain types of social constructs feel very weird. The one that always strikes me as really difficult is the one called professional. Now, obviously, I understand what that means in context of my job. Being professional means acting as an adult, acting in an ethical manner, yada, yada. I see you down there, Althea. I see you. But at this point, I feel like, at least as a therapist, one of the things I have to be very clear about is there's this idea that like I'm supposed to be somehow like a mercenary, like almost separated from my client, help them out, and then just forget. And I just don't think that happens. I care about all my clients to varying degrees and to varying amounts and depending on where they're at now. And the same thing goes with a lot of people in the server. The server is not filled with my clients. It's not filled with people I have that dual relationship with. I'm aware the parasocial stuff exists, and I don't really know how to engage with it. In a lot of ways, I feel like by being as open and authentic as possible, I feel like I control for it a little bit because people know who I am. I think my style with this is very different. Like there's people in the server I'm trying to become friends with. I think they're cool people. This is very different than some of the people we've talked about on this channel. Lily's a great example of that. I don't ever want to be like that. In fact, there's a lot of content creators that I've learned from by learning not what to do. RGR is a perfect example. The atom bomb, that her community that was based on the Demon Mama stuff. I don't want to be that kind of person, and I think the way to do that is to be personable, genial, and trying to work with people while maintaining a sense of integrity.
Well, and also talking about like boundaries openly, right? Like actually having the conversation, actually being able to handle conflict.
Yeah. Next question is by Althea. What was going through your head the moment you decided to become a therapist? So it's a bit embarrassing, but basically the long story short was I didn't think I could hack it as a nurse because nurses are scary. That's not the real answer. That's just the funny answer. The real answer is that I had a dear friend of mine who was a training psychologist who was fucking brilliant. And we are sadly not as close as I would like to be. but we've kind of gone in different directions. I've become very gay and very, very femme. And he's become a family man. That's super cool. And he got together with someone I thought was really cool. But that person helped me so much over the course of the 2000s that I wanted to be like him. I wanted to do good for people. No, nurses will cut a bitch. At least with the programs that are around where we are. Like, literally, one of the community colleges was like, there's like 50 people vying for a 10-spot position in the nursing college.
Oh, no, those are hugely competitive positions.
Yeah, no, when I say they will cut a bitch, I'm not lying. They will cut a bitch.
Yeah, they are very much. Althea also has, for the Ask Zena Anything part of this, have they ever thought about becoming a counselor? Vaguely. There is a list of jobs that I have vaguely considered would be cool. I thought cooking would be cool. Then I learned about my friends in the actual industry, and I was like, no. I thought about a few different things. So counselor in the therapist sense, no. I don't know. I finished school and lots of chronic illness, and like there just wasn't really like a huge drive for that. But I always wanted to own my own camp, like a kids, for theoretically all ages, not just kids, but like summer camp, but more like year round, ideally. Like if I could just live on camp full year, and like Jess could live there, we could be somewhat, somehow in our magical, like near the city, but also near the forest place, like I would. So
yeah, that shit's complicated. Next, Lilibro's question is best foods. For me, hands down, it's Mexican. I love tacos. I love burritos. I love anything I can put salsa on. I also genuinely just like really salty foods. One of my favorite things right now is sourdough toast with a shit ton of butter and some like Mediterranean sea salt crushed on it. Yeah. What about you, Kisses?
This is a hard question right now just because I'm having to figure out some health stuff. So I'm actually on a really restrictive diet. That means that I can't eat like any of my favorite things. And basically I just end up not blocking out, but like kind of just forgetting about my favorite things because I can't eat most of it anymore.
I think we found some good workarounds, though. I think you really liked the bechamel sauce, the kind of Alfredo bechamel sauce we make.
I think before I was allergic to cow dairy, I loved Alfredo. Honestly, I like Alfredo more now, the dairy-free way. Alicia Fleming has a book, she's got Eat Dairy-Free and Go Dairy-Free, and her recipe includes a base of like cauliflower, or not cauliflower, I'm sorry, that's, this one is cashews. And it's amazing. Her recipe's brilliant. It's so good. Like, it's even better. Her recipe for biscuits and gravy is also amazing. You would never know that it wasn't dairy.
Hey guys, here's the thing is, I don't know if you're all meat eaters. I am. And,
Tiamat, dairy, like, Alfredo is literally like a heavy cream sauce with some cheese in it. No, they're asking
what book is that in. She's asking what book that is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Alicia Fleming, Eat Dairy-Free and Go Dairy-Free are her two cookbooks.
So, again, I love sausage biscuits and gravy, and a sausage biscuits and gravy that is essentially made out of, like, coconut milk and...
It's not even coconut. It's all cauliflower.
Oh, is it?
There's no coconut milk. It's cauliflower. I usually add, like, a tiny bit of soy sauce for that umami flavor. What else is in there? Nutritional yeast, a little bit for flavor. Like, it tastes... Go ahead.
You're basically just eating a shit ton of You're eating a shit ton of cauliflower along with sausage.
Just didn't know the difference when I gave it to her. That one was so good. Tiamat, I will write...
We'll put it in the chat later.
Get that in the chat later for you.
But yeah, that's my answer. Also, the stuff that Zena makes. We make some pretty good stuff now out of the... with the diet restrictions. We give a really nice bechamel sauce with, like, a lot of, like, goat jack cheese that's really good. Because... Zena's not really affected by other animals' milk. It seems to be exclusively cows.
Yep.
Fury Rona asked, a question for both of you. What was the specific moment when you looked at the other and thought, yes, you are wonderful, amazing, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you? And if so, what was that? You want to answer this one?
I don't know if I remember all of it. So we talked about that crazy like start to our relationship. We started dating in what, like
2017.
2017 in the summer. Okay, it's like beginning of the summer, and then like I don't know, we were probably crying our eyes out at some point, like in my old house. I don't remember all of it. Oh yeah, I don't know. Someone along the way just asked if offered her last name to me because family issues and
yeah. Let me get.
then
I remember. I
just
remember
start the story. There you go.
Yeah.
Just start.
So one of the things is that me and Zena went real deep as far as like a lot of talking about our psychologies and a lot of the stuff we were dealing with. And what happened is, even though I'm not a huge fan of my family, I am a big fan of my last name, and I ended up offering it to Zena because Zena really hated their last name. And so essentially we kind of got like engaged, sort of.
That absolutely happened.
Yeah, like
that
basically got engaged sort of really early in the relationship. And of course nothing happened from it. We didn't jump at that chance, but it was sort of the thing that like we really liked each other, and we've been together ever since, but they were like just about finishing up year 4.
Right. Well, just kind of asked me, like, do you want to marry? Like, would you like to marry me? Like, that just flew out of her mouth one night, and I was just, without a doubt, just went with the instinctual answer. Just said yes. Like, that was... So...
Well, and like to give you guys an idea why that's a big deal for me, every single partner I've ever been with, it's usually been a hard yes or no in my head. There are 2 other people, and neither of them are my previous wife, who had that yes in my head. And Zena, I had that with almost immediately. And obviously there's a little bit of like personal searching, being like, okay, is this the borderline stuff? But yeah, it's something that happened. I kind of knew that very early on that I really cared about them a great deal.
Yeah, so. I think this was my first. This really was like my first like serious relationship. My relationships were kind of hectic and odd because Demi through a lot of really big weirdness in life. So no, I don't know. This kind of came out of nowhere for a lot of my friends too. Although I think the best reaction we got was from my friend Renee, who just like squealed super loud when we told her, and she was so happy. And I was like, "This is the best." She was so excited. So
yeah. On a sillier note, what's your favorite meme you've come across recently? Oh God.
I don't know. I send just r/actual lesbian memes like all the time. Like there's just a constant like lots of pictures of hot girls. I'm a super lesbian. Like I know I'm masculine and like gender wise, and then like suddenly my relationship comes up and I'm like, here's hot girls. Here's hot girls that look like us. I know what my favorite meme is.
Which one?
The one where the only person that should be saying those things about you is me.
Oh, that is your favorite.
That is my favorite. I don't know where it's even at right now. Oh, it was okay. So on Reddit, there's r/gatekeeping Yuri, and there's a whole big thing about like people kind of pitting women against each other, you know, or like not like the other girls thing, and they simply take like opposing sides and then draw those people in relationships, and it's great. And so there was one making fun of somebody with like cat ears and stuff, and content warning for slurs and swears, but, you know, calling her names like a slut and stuff like that. And then there was another girl that was like, you know, dressed a little bit better. And the picture is these two together, and the girl saying to the one with the cat ears, the only person who's allowed to say those things about you is me. And it's super hot. Like, it's really, really great. So
I'll be honest, a lot of the memes I really like is I really like a lot of the anime girl memes that come from r/trans. And like
if you're on our Discord server, we'll try and post them, okay? I promise.
But like some of these ones are amazing. Like there's like a lot of them are just like cute anime girls, which I'm always a big fan of, and them like just like here this is not my favorite, but like the like, hey, just want to remind you that some lesbians have dicks. Like, I just think that's really fucking cool. Like another one here is another person. My best friend said "good girl" is a joke, and like now I want to kiss them. Like it's
So
I really
so good.
Those are so wholesome and so fun, and I really like them. And Samantha Dunn, yes, I don't get yelled at for the amount of butter I put on there, but I do put a lot of butter on my toast.
I have mentioned maybe once, like maybe go a little bit lighter on the butter, but you know, it's all good. It's not a big deal. It really isn't.
Next question is Toby Echo. If you're allowed to tell, what was one moment you thought, holy shit, with a client?
Oh God, I've got one of these.
For me?
No, I have got one of my stories.
Go ahead with yours.
I was working at a youth shelter, and we are supposed to do, like there's homework time, right? You know, and you know, if you don't have homework, then you just do quiet reading or something like that. And the kid here, who was probably about like 12, like 13, I think, could barely read, and they didn't tell us that. And I felt really bad because I absolutely would have gotten this kid like stuff that was actually at his reading level, like, and actually given him a chance to actually like enjoy reading, right? And I was really angry because that was just like the tip of the iceberg of issues with this place, of not really doing the job that they should have been to, or at least the job that I think they should have been doing to take care of the youth that were actually there. I thought they really failed a lot of kids. So that was probably one of the holy shit moments of like, you guys just.
So I have, yeah. I have two. I have a funny one and I have a not funny one. One of the holy shit moments was I was working with a couple, and obviously I can't say a lot, but I'll say that basically I came in contact with the first time with someone I believe to be a malicious, or excuse me, what's called what is it? Oh my God, my brain just died. I can't remember the term now. There's a specific type of narcissist that's sort of a hybrid between normal narcissism and antisocial personality. Malignant. Thank you, Althea. God, I couldn't remember a fucking word so hard. I interacted with someone that I believe to be a very real malignant narcissist, and I have never seen someone so manipulative, so controlling, so immediately domineering. I had never had that problem in a session before. It was utterly terrifying, and to be very clear, I haven't come across anyone since. So when a lot of people use the colloquial term of narcissist, I actually find myself get a little uncomfortable because, yeah, no, I've seen what that looks like. Some of these people are real rough. That was the scary one. That one really scared me. After this person left, I just said I couldn't work with them. I just couldn't. And it wasn't anything like they had done anything, but this guy was just so domineering and so over the top, and just, yeah, it was a very intense one session and never happened again. The holy shit moment that was funny was, so when I transferred from my one job to my newer job, I brought all my clients with me. I was not happy. Normally I wouldn't do that, but I was unhappy with the place I was leaving for their poor handling of COVID and some of their just dumb perspectives, including this not being evidence-based as far as practice. It was fucking insane. No, it wasn't Mega Macho Rosanna. It was actually much more like the spiritualist route. Like holier than fucking thou. I can't say more than that, but it was rough. I had a client who had in their sessions come out to me as bisexual, and they had, it was a really big turning point for them because it was a big deal. And later they were trying to convince one of their close friends that being bi was okay, and decided to start sharing back and forth with this friend T-girl porn, and then told me about them watching and viewing T-girl porn while I'm like mid-transition. It was a weird moment. I still don't know how I feel about it. And it wasn't like anything inappropriate happened. It wasn't like anything bad. It was perfectly fine. It was just weird. It was just a weird one for me because it's like, no, maybe no, like,
what are we doing here?
I hope you enjoyed the video and thank you for watching. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also consider donating to the channel. You can donate at streamlabs.com/transgirltherapist/tip or at patreon.com and become a patron. Patreon.com/transgirltherapist.